Another big segment of ours is the marriage segment is a big driver of our sales. Even that was absolutely closed for the first year. And then we had a bit of a misfortune in the second year. We had planned the April to June is our best quarter because that is when the travel season is at full peak and also the marriage season. And we had made ambitious plans, and in fact we revised our budgets in the beginning of March. But within a week of that, the second wave struck very badly and the entire first quarter was washed out. So we've had quite a tumultuous, quite a difficult period for the last 2 years. But now things are back, and as they say, there is revenge traveling. The marriage season also is very good, and so things are, I would say, nearly back to normal almost. And in fact, we are seeing very good traction even in the second quarter of this year, which is normally our weakest quarter. But even the sort of segment, the year-wise, quarter-wise sales also is slightly changing the pattern of quarter-wise sales, and the second quarter has also become quite good. So we are very, very optimistic about the future. And I used to say before the pandemic that tourism is the fastest growing industry in the world, and I think we'll get back to that very soon.
Right. It wasn't just the pandemic though, Dilip, because there was this, in the middle there was this Future Group episode as well, and it accounted for quite a bit of your sales. And that must have dented your revenues quite considerably. Are you over that hump as well?
Yes. Well, we are nearly over that hump because Future Group had at the peak had gone up to 15% of our sales, which is very, very high. That is as much as the entire canteen stores, that is the retail wing of the Indian Army. And just one customer, of course with hundreds of outlets, had become very large, and that was a big setback to us. We have now recouped 50% of that sales through other channels, through other stores. And I guess a little bit more will also, it's difficult to identify what part of that sales is going to the MBOs and our own EBOs. But I think gradually we are getting over that. Of course, we took some financial hits also because we
throughout this phase, because of COVID or probably not just because of it, the one trend that we saw across many sectors is that some sense of what we could call down trading. People prefer to move down to budget brands or lower down the price spectrum. I looked at your numbers as well, and it seems like Aristocrat and Skybags, which are lower priced items compared to VIP, but they seem to have done or seem to account for a very large or increasingly large proportion of your overall revenues. Would you say that this is a growing trend, the budget brands actually accounting for a very lion's share of your revenues?
The move towards the value brand started more with the GST. GST was a great enabler for us because it reduced the level of taxation, which was very, very high on all manufactured products and all branded products, because there was a large excise duty. Then the sales tax was very high. In some cities like Bombay, the octroi duty was still existing at 4%. And all this was cascading. Like the octroi duty is on our selling price plus the excise plus the VAT at that time. So GST subsumed everything at a rate of 18%. And even with 18%, we got some input credit set off. So our net taxation would be about 10%. Of course, the further tax at the retail level, and in our case, the retail margins are quite high. But all in all, it was a very good move for the organized industry and for the country as a whole. But that also migrated a lot of sales from the unorganized sector to the organized sector. And the unorganized sector is in the value brand. So the value brand segment increased. During the pandemic, what happened was there was a big impact on the premium brands because they sold in all the malls and in the upper end stores, which were all virtually closed in the first year of the pandemic. and there was a gradual revival in the second year. So all these two factors combined has increased the value sector, and our sales have now sort of comprised 25%. Now they comprise 35% of our total revenue. The value brands, our Aristocrat brand, from 25% earlier. So there is a great move. But now I think as all the big stores come back and all, and as our as our premium brands increase, I think we'll try and increase the sales there also. But I think they might sort of come to about between 30 and 35%.
So how does all this, I mean, this trend affect the competitive dynamics in the market, Dilip? Because, I mean, while it is fair to say that you've staved off the challenge of Samsonite quite well, in the last couple of years, we did see some market share losses for VIP. I mean, competition is quite intense from not just Samsonite, but also from Safari, American Tourister.
Yes.
You know, do you see you giving up more market share, ceding more market share in the future?
It's quite an interesting story. See, we are about 52 years in the industry. We are the pioneers in luggage. So we started off with 100% market share, and it sort of gradually came down. In the early 90s, it was about, we had 60% market share. Then we acquired Aristocrat, which was our major competitor at that time. And so our market share went to even more than, it went to about 75%. And then Samsonite came in in the year, I think, 96. And then they naturally took some share, though of course they have been saying that they would become market leaders in 3 years. But I am very happy to say that even today, after 25 years, they have never, I mean, our market share today is about 43%, and theirs would be under 35%. And we are the only country in the world. Samsonite is the only multinational company in the luggage space. And they operate in more than 120 countries, I think. And they are the undisputed market leader in all these countries. And in fact, there's no number 2 at all. And India is the only country where they have never been market leaders. And so we are very proud of that. But then Safari was a very small company, and it was acquired by my very good friend and our erstwhile managing director in about, I think about 10, 12 years ago. And he did a very good job in Safari, and they were only in the value segment, and they have increased the share considerably. And the pandemic has been very good for them, because in the pandemic it was mainly the value segment which was growing, because all the big stores were closed. So they have taken market share. So we have lost, we did lose market share till last year, and our lowest market share would be about 41%. We are now at about 43%. We have gained market share in the current year, and our aim is to now reach at least 45% market share during this fiscal year, and we hope we can even get back to high 40s next year.
You know, the other thing which people got quite worried about when the pandemic struck with your company was how would you deal with the whole China issue, because you sourced at that point such a large proportion of your luggage from China. And it's been interesting to see how you've been reducing gradually your dependence on China by opening plants in Bangladesh and other locations. Can you just talk about this transition that you're going through? Because it's a very fundamental transition to wean yourself away from the Chinese dependence.
Yes. Yes, absolutely right. You are absolutely right, because not only us, the entire luggage industry, including the unorganized sector, the small-scale sector, was dependent on China. And we were the first movers. We set up our Bangladesh factory 9 years ago. And though for the first 4 or 5 years, it sort of progressed very, very slowly, and we were hardly doing about 60, 70,000 pieces per month. Then we have scaled up considerably in the last 4 or 5 years. And particularly in the pandemic, just before the pandemic, we had reached a capacity of 4 lakh pieces per month. And today we are at about 6 lakhs pieces per month. And I would say that we have 6 plants in Bangladesh. We employ 4,500 workers, and we have about 6 lakh square feet of built-up space, and all are 100% owned by VIP Industries. So we are, I would dare say, we are the largest manufacturer of luggage as a company in the entire world, because my own feeling is that Samsonite is the only company which is larger than us, even by way of sales or in any other aspect. We are the second largest luggage company in the world, but I think we are the largest manufacturer of luggage in the world at the moment. So this transition has been quite good, but it is still a sort of work in progress, because when we first started manufacturing in Bangladesh, all our input material came in from China, and the supply chain was entirely dependent on China. All we were doing is converting the raw material, the other input components into luggage. And now we are planning, after the pandemic, China costs have become very high, our volumes have gone up so much that we are now rationalizing all that, and we'll buy from China only what is really the cheapest product there. We'll buy a lot from India and in Bangladesh also. So all that is a very detailed process. It's very laborious. It's going to take some time. But I think gradually, as in the next 2 years, we should have the optimum input position, input raw material and inputs, and that will also save us costs considerably. So I think the Bangladesh initiative has been a very successful one, and it was sort of well thought of at that time.
Now, Dilip, sourcing is one part of the story. I mean, now that in the next couple of years you will transition away to much lower dependence, but many other companies across the world would be doing what you are doing with imports from China. But does that in a sense open up greater export opportunities for you as a company? I mean, through this chat, you've mentioned your rivalry with Samsonite a few times. Do you see entering new markets or reaching out to customers who do not want to be reliant on China, and therefore expanding your export basket significantly?
Absolutely. I mean, that has been my long-term ambition, that we should become a multinational company, and I like to go step by step. So at the moment, our international sales are very, very low, not even 10% of our total sales. But it is my long-term vision that we should become one of the we are the second largest in the world. Luggage is a very, very fragmented industry. And like Samsonite has the other larger brand, Tumi is also part of Samsonite. And there are hardly any other brands. So it is our ambition to become a very large player, and maybe one day we can be the largest. The problem is that our domestic market is growing so much that today all our own manufacturing is taken up by our domestic market. And in fact, the way the market is growing presently, I think all our expansion will be taken up by the domestic market itself. So that means that our international operations will have to be postponed, because we cannot obviously buy from somebody else and sell abroad. We have to make it ourselves or procure it ourselves in India. We are, I think, we are probably the lowest cost producer in the world.
Time for a quick break on the show, but we shall return with Dilip Piramal, Chairman of VIP Industries, in just a minute. Welcome back. You're watching the Business Today show. I've been in conversation with India's largest luggage maker, VIP Industries Chairman, Dilip Piramal. Now, speaking of long-term vision, Dilip, also, I mean, have you ever considered diversifications at VIP seriously? But I mean, at some point many years ago, there was some talk about you getting into things like air conditioning or water treatment. I mean, were those active plans? Are they still on the cards, or do you want to stick to your knitting of core luggage?
See, this diversification was not part of VIP. I was doing it separately like a venture capitalist. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And it was very much on the anvil. I mean, it was very nascent, but that didn't take off. In fact, in VIP, we have diversified into ladies' handbags, which as a category is much larger than luggage. But we have not had the bandwidth in the last 10 years. I would say that is one of my failures, that we could not develop that much of management bandwidth. We had some ups and downs, and but that is another very large market which we have to address. But I have to take things one by one. I mean, it's no sense biting more than what you can chew. So I have a very, very important and interesting and potential market, with ladies' handbags. You see, in the world there is all the ladies' handbags are in the very, very haute couture, very high segment, selling in thousands of dollars. There's no big brand which is retailing at under $100. And that is the very good space, I feel. It's very similar to luggage in manufacturing and even in distribution, you could say. And I hope in some time in the next 5 years, we are able to address that market in a significant manner.
Well, speaking of bandwidth and ladies' handbags, I mean, your daughter is in the saddle right now, and she seems like the kind of person who could take up this challenge. I mean, has the transition from you to Radhika been seamless in that sense? I mean, where do things stand on that front?
No, I wish it was so, but it is not happening that way. You see, VIP has for most of its life, since about 1990, it's been managed by a professional managing director. Radhika came in around 2010 and as a managing director, and she worked as managing director till 2018. And then she wanted, for her personal reasons, to relocate in London. She was living there for a while prior to coming here in 2010. She was there for about nearly 10 years prior to that. And now she has moved back to London and has sort of taken a slightly lesser role. So that is not happening. I have to make this company very professional. We have, since 2018, again we have had a full-time professional managing director. And then the incumbent in 2018 made a move 2 years ago. And our new managing director has taken charge of the ship since February 2021, and he's doing a very good job. He's getting, and all of a sudden he had a lot of things, the whole transition from China to Bangladesh, and we had a lot of disruption in India also, and he's doing all that well. And I think by the end of this fiscal year, we will be quite stable, consolidated at the top level, and we can think of further expansion. I am now inclined to think more on the lines of companies like Marico and Pidilite, who have totally professionalized their top management, including the board. And I am more inclined to do that. And that is the only alternative available to me.
Let me end by asking you a little bit about what it means to be a Piramal, part of such a successful business family. I mean, your brother Ajay Piramal has had a very checkered career as well. And if I'm not mistaken, all of you still live in the same house in Worli. I mean, what kind of equation do you share with him? I mean, are you friends? Do you talk about your respective businesses? Give us some insight into what it is like in the Piramal household.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you now, Ajay has moved since a year. He has moved to a independent bungalow very close to our house. What happens with our family is that there is a lot of affection within the brothers. Now there's only two of us. I mean, I had an older brother, Ashok, who passed away very early in 1984. And as the families grow, we have our own children get married and their families and all. You get closer to the grandchildren and all. So it's not the same thing, but between the brothers there is good affection. We don't interact so much. I mean, of course, we interact on birthdays and other family occasions. And the feeling is good, but we are fairly independent. And as a Piramal, I would say it's, of course, a part of a big family. But what I would like to say in my case, see, the Piramal space has been more occupied by Ajay, who's really doing extremely well in the last 30 years. And his company is also has the family name, Piramal Enterprises. But with me, what happened since, I would say, the early 80s, that the VIP brand became so large, so well known. It was only one of the very few Indian consumer brands in the 1980s. Even sort of very strong brands like Marico and all developed in the 90s and later on, means in the last 25 years. But virtually there was no other Indian brand. And the VIP brand, and there was no other luggage also product right till the year 2000, you can say. So VIP was a very well-known brand. And that impact is something sort of incredible. I mean, wherever I go in the country, people recognize me. My distribution is so strong. We are there in every city in India, every top-tier town, first-tier town. So whether I go to a small place like Amritsar, I'll have so many dealers, and the dealers are so happy to meet me, so welcoming, because we're a very ethical, good company. So our goodwill, mutual goodwill between our top dealers and us is very good. So that is something incredible, and you meet anybody. I mean, it's like right from the Prime Minister, I had once occasion to meet him and he said, aapka product to hum hamesha use karte hain, and so on, And that is the sort of normal answer. Everybody knows VIP, at least till the year 2000. Then after that, the whole Indian consumer space expanded. There were other brands and all. At one time, we were the top 30, 40, among the top 30, 40 brands, maybe even lesser. But now we are probably only among the top 300 brands. The whole consumer space has expanded so much. But VIP, virtually everybody knows. So that is something, for me, even more than the family name. The family name is known only for, let's say, top 10,000 people who are in the business field. But the brand recognition and what recognition one gets individually is something incredible.
You have every reason to be proud of it, Dilip, and I hope your dreams of becoming a multinational come true soon. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Udayan.
A shocking revelation has rocked the chess world. An investigation has found that Hans Niemann, the American grandmaster, has cheated more than 100 times. A 72-page report conducted by chess.com found that he likely received illegal assistance in more than 100 online games, even in games where prize money was at stake. Suspicion rose when 19-year-old Niemann beat the world champion Carlsen while playing with the black pieces at the $500,000 Sinquefield Cup. He ended the world champion Magnus Carlsen's 53-game unbeaten streak in classical over-the-board games. Carlsen first suggested, then outrightly declared that this American was winning through illegitimate means. Niemann's explanation was that he had somehow guessed what opening the opposition would play. Carlsen abruptly withdrew from the tournament as a sign of protest, suspecting that Niemann indeed was cheating. Niemann first denied those allegations of cheating, but later confessed to violating the rules of fair play at least twice in random games on the chess.com portal. The investigation made no conclusions regarding Neyman's over-the-board games, but flagged contests from 6 of his in-person events. The investigation further revealed that Neyman privately confessed to the allegations. Chess.com used cheat detection tools that analyzed and compared moves to those recommended by chess engines, studied the player's past performance and strength profile. It monitors behavior such as players opening up other browsers while playing. This is how the investigation was carried out. Neyman said, and I quote, "I was confronted and I confessed. And this is the single biggest mistake of my life, and I'm completely ashamed. I'm telling the world because I don't want misrepresentation and I don't want rumors. I have never cheated in an over-the-board game, and other than when I was 12 years old, I have never cheated in a tournament with prize money." Following this, he has been subsequently banned for a period of time from chess.com, the world's most popular chess platform. FIDE, the sports world governing body, has said that it will convene its own 3-person panel to look into these allegations of cheating.
This Diwali, fire up your Muhurat trading.
This Diwali, celebrate the victory of good investment. Welcome Devi Mahalakshmi into your homes this Diwali.
Sweeten your portfolio this Diwali with Business Today TV.
Films is something I wanted to do from a very young age. My bedroom was right in front of my mother's makeup room. And I grew up every day in the morning seeing her doing makeup, getting ready for shoots while I had to go to school.
But I used to come and drop you in the school.
You used to drop me to school.
She would drop you to school at least. Every day you would drop her to school.
Yeah. I would sit in the car, I would just drop.
Presented by Only OLX Autos gives the best price for your car. Co-presented by Macho Hint, Fashion Bade Aaram Se. Powered by Ashirwad Shubh Chakki Atta, Raho Char Kadam Aage.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. The true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
Co-powered by RK Marble, Khoobsurat Imandari. In association with JioMart, Har Ghar Ka Mart. Presented by Dhool Aaye Par Ghar Pe Na Tik Paaye.